So the first photo from jail shows an unexplained black eye of Ghislaine Maxwell. This is the court rendering of her, but the first photo of her has been released in court papers. She's been in custody, of course, ahead of her trial on charges relating to sex trafficking and of underage girls with her cohort, Jeffrey Epstein. So apparently this is the photo that has just been released, and there is an unexplained black eye. So not really sure. So this is what her legal team was showing. They wanted to show that she's received now a black eye in jail. And, you know, I don't think there's enough attention being paid to conditions in our jails and in our prisons in this country. We really need to do better when it comes to this. We really need to be paying way more attention to the quality and the conditions that people are in. And it doesn't matter. And I know it's hard. For me, sometimes it's extra difficult. I'm the type that sometimes, even though I understand logically, ethically, morally against the death penalty, we should never kill anybody. I totally agree with that. But emotionally, sometimes there's people that I think should be definitely given the death penalty, and sometimes in a way that is, you know, like real bad. You know, I have sometimes some real evil thoughts when it comes to that, because some people do such heinous crimes that when I read about the crime, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that person they deserve whatever it is that is going to be unleashed on them, the fires of hell. But despite those feelings, we should set those feelings aside if we are going to be a civilized society, and if we consider ourselves enlightened at all. Then we should care that our prisons and jails, where we keep people out of society because we find them to be a danger or they are being punished for something they have done, we should expect those facilities to be habitable and humane. And I know that's really difficult to reconcile for a lot of people, because we've got homeless people on the streets, and it's, you know, and then it's like, well, what about them? You know, I understand there's all these arguments about why we, you know, why we don't care. And I understand why people don't care. I understand why people turn a blind eye to it, why they don't want to pay any attention to it, why there's very little activism regarding it. I understand why. I understand that there's people that work really hard and they have very little and their conditions aren't so great. And we have, like I said, homelessness all around. I mean, I'm seeing it all around every day, all day where I live. But nonetheless, you know, we are a civilized society, and we are a society that believes that we are humane and enlightened, and we need to care more about our prisons. We need to care more about the conditions that people are in jail, especially jail where a person hasn't actually been convicted yet, where they, for the most part, you know, at least felonies, where they are awaiting trial, especially in those situations. People need to be kept in safe and sanitary, and, you know, the conditions need to be a lot better. So, you know, look, Ghislaine Maxwell, I got my theories on her and what she's done and why. And I do think she's ultimately an enemy of the state, quite frankly. I think that, you know, my theory on her anyway, I mean, it's just a theory, but nonetheless, I still think that she's worked against the interests of the United States, could be charged with much more than just sex trafficking, but probably espionage and treason, potentially. I think she's an American citizen, right? So working against the government, working against the interests of the government, and blackmailing leaders in our government in order to aid another government, to me, is a serious crime. But nonetheless, I believe that she should be held in humane, sanitary, clean, and safe conditions. So this is an alarming photo. We should all be upset about this. It doesn't matter who the person is, whether we like them or agree with them or not. That is not the point when it comes to discussing how the conditions of our jails and our prisons. I don't think we pay enough attention to our jails and our prisons in this country. I don't think we pay enough attention to life after jail and prison for people. And that is something that I care a lot about being somebody that has to deal with it in my own personal life. The challenges of getting a job after having a mark on your record as a felon, getting a place to live as a felon who's been released from jail, serving your time. And as a society, once you've served your time, your record should be wiped, right? You shouldn't have to disclose that you committed a crime and served time in jail. That should be kind of a personal thing at that point. And I know that's really difficult because a lot of us say, well, yeah, but the recidivism rate is so high that I'd want to know if this person committed a crime, because then the likelihood of them committing that crime again is really high. And I understand that sentiment. But, as a society, again, we are the type that we say, if you have to pay the price. When you do the crime, you pay the price. Well, once they paid the price, what happens after that? And that is what's so really difficult. And these are the types of conversations I think we really should be having in America if we want to change. If we want to change things, if we really want to make change, I really believe it's in the court system and in the prison and jail system. And what happens after that for people? That's where I think we need to really be focusing. And I know BLM wants to focus on police, and they're very hyper-focused on that. I don't think that's where the problem really is. I think the problem really is more in the court system and in the jail system and prison system and life after that, and what happens to a person after that. And I know firsthand how difficult it is. It is damn near impossible to get a job after you've been released from prison. You really can't. And then you can't, if you're a young man and you've committed a crime and you get out of prison, unless you have family help, which most don't, then you're really screwed. And then your children are screwed because you can't get a job, and then you can't support your kids. And, it turns into this cycle that we somehow have to deal with as a society and try to fix. That's what we have to fix. Help people get back on their feet, ensure the conditions in the jails and in the prisons don't radicalize people one way or the other. It doesn't radicalize them towards radical ideology, or just radicalizes them where they go in as a petty criminal and then they come out a serious criminal because they've learned some things. We have to guard against that. We have to make sure that the conditions are good, that they're learning good skills, that they're essentially being educated in there, that they're getting opportunities for a job. And when they come out, their slate is wiped clean so that they can then enter into society as functioning people and lower that recidivism rate. And, I feel really passionate about that. If there was a cause that I was going to get involved in, that maybe would be one of the causes at this point that I would spend a lot of my time on. If I were a politician, for example, then I would spend a lot of time on this particular issue, because I do think that it's an issue that affects us all. So, all right.